Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you on the 8th of November 2020. And I'm going to do another in my series of wild edible videos. So first I must give you a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, a medical doctor, so nothing I say about medicinals should you be taken as a prescription, or for what you need to do, always go see a doctor. But this is not really a medicinal video. This is more of a wild edible, use of wild plants kind of video, because this one's kind of borderline edible that I'm about to cover. So further, my disclaimers are this. In Mother Nature, you're going to find a lot of things that are really good for you and good to eat. But you will also find a lot of things that can make you sick and can kill you. So before you put anything in your mouth, before you try to ingest anything in any manner, make sure, if you don't know what it is, that you consult with a local plant expert, a local botanist, a local herbalist, so that you will know exactly what you're getting. All right, that said, today we're going to talk about something that I've long promised you. This is black gum, also known as sour gum, also known as black tupelo. The scientific name is Nyssa Sylvatica, and Nyssa is Greek for water nymph, and the Sylvatica comes from woodland. But anyway, so this is found throughout eastern North America, the entire eastern range, and in fact it's typically often used as an ornamental tree for two reasons. In the spring and summer, those leaves are really dark, beautiful green. And they have a tendency to turn really red, sometimes red in the fall and autumn. Now these trees here are kind of overreached by other trees above them. I got two of them here. And typically, there's one that hangs over my deck. The limbs used to come all the way down to the deck, but you know, they're not getting as much sun there, so over time, the lower limbs died off. What's typical of these trees, you can see one that's out there. Okay, there's a sweet gum tree between me and it. But if you see the limbs that are going this way, that's how the limbs usually come off of a black gum tree. So they come up and almost straight out. And the bark is a heavily furrowed bark. Let's make sure I'm not pointing into pine from this area. The bark is a heavily furrowed bark. And like I said, these are typically used as an ornamental tree, believe it or not. And as a matter of fact, they have received the Golden Medal Award from the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society and the Carey Award for the North New England states, actually. And you can propagate these by planting seeds in the autumn. In the spring, late spring, early summer, you can do cuttings from the softwood and use semi-hardwood cuttings later in the spring. Now these things quickly go 66 to 82 foot tall, sometimes 115 foot tall. But when I was a kid, we had one that was really ginormous, about like some of these big pines out here. And I could get up close to them. But it grew up by a spring. Now they're known for growing in well-drained areas, but that Sylvatica, it's kind of understood to be up by some cultures a kind of a swamp tree too. So I don't know. It's kind of odd, the names and what you hear about the advice of that is kind of varying. But there's no, well, there's a wet area back in here. I have often found these growing along the edge of woodlands more than interior. But that don't mean they can't. Well, so the fruit coming from these things are dark ovoids, and I usually find them down here on my deck most years. Most years my deck has been covered by them. They tend to be about 2/3 of an inch long. They're dark blue, almost black, about the size of a peanut. Like I said, about 2/3 of an inch. I don't have any this year. It's kind of odd. It's the first year I've been here since I've been here, and I've been here for 29 years that I haven't seen these on my deck. Now they are edible, and that's why this tree is classified as a wild edible. But you really want, it is a borderline wild edible because those fruit are extremely sour, extremely bitter, because they're very acidic. So you probably really wouldn't want to eat them. But wildlife really loves them. Wildlife thrives on these fruit. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe it fruited and just wildlife came in here and scarfed it up. Now the flowers are great for honey. Now they're flowering like in June, July. Honeybees love them, so they're a very good honey tree. And in fact, the beekeepers used to hollow the trunks out, and they would make their bee gums from the trunks of this tree. We're going to walk around and get closer to these in a minute. I'm going to show you a lot more of them. Now the wood is, I wouldn't walk on down. The wood is a cross-grained, interlocking grain wood, which makes it really, really tough and extremely hard to split. which, you know, tells you what you want to do with it a lot. So those leaves, those are all black gum leaves right there. Not as red as I've seen them some years. There's the trunk of the one closest to me. So hang on, we'll walk on down. We're going to look at it some more. We're going to look at a sweet gum and a black gum side by side. And I'm going to talk about that. But the wood, let me get back to it. The wood, being hard to split it as it is, it's good to make mauls, which you beat on stuff with because they don't bust up so easy, right? Mauls are good to make from, agricultural rollers. The hubs for wagons, wagon wheels, basically, because you want a tough wood for a wagon wheel. They're good for, some people have actually used them for paving blocks, but it's kind of odd because they're not really known to have good properties on the ground. But they are tough. If you have a really dry place to put them. They've been used for ox yoke. In fact, they've been really prized for ox yoke. The Creek referred to them as, well, the name comes from, part of the name is Apawa for black tupelo. It's also known as a black tupelo. That's another name for it. The tupelo, part of the name is Apawa, and that comes from swamp. That's why I said it had a swamp tree. The other part is Ito Apawa. Somehow that tupelo came from that. Don't ask me how tupelo came from Ito Apawa, but you know, that's creek for tree and swamp. So according to creeks, it's a swamp tree. Well, I do have kind of a swamp here at the edge of my house, but I have seen them grow in places that weren't swampy. And according to some of the literature here, they grow well in well-drained land. I don't see them too much in the centers though. So there you go. Now, right here is a sweet gum tree. And here is a sour gum tree, or a black gum. I've always heard them called black gums. Growing up, I never heard them called anything else but black gum trees. Now, they both make a gum. If you can cut that bark, you will get a gum out of it that you can chew. Kind of a resin will come out of the slash that you can cut. Now, I got to tell you, the sweet gum tree resin is anything but sweet. But it is called sweet because it is so much sweeter or better than this stuff. This is really sour. That's not sweet. This is way off the other side of not being sweet. So relatively speaking, I guess they decided this was a sweet gum tree. Yeah, how did they come up with that? I don't know. Maybe it's just a sense of humor of the older generations. Beats me. Anyway, we'll go look now. We'll talk about how come I come to know this tree. I'm going to show a couple others. Look here, I got some turmeric growing out here in the edge of the woods. All right, let's walk around here. And I'm going to show you a couple more varieties of these. I'm going to show you one really close, and I'm going to tell you about how is the best way you can probably use this. What would be your main thing you would want to use a sweet gum tree for? And as I'm walking, I'll say this. This is also in the vein of prepping. You got to know what you can use in the forest. Also in the vein of prepping right now is a really good time to prep. You can support my channel by going to prepwithgreg.com. We got a special deal right now. You can get a $100 off a 4-week supply of food for one person. Yeah, that's 4 weeks of food, $100 off. It's a great price. Stuff lasts 25 years. You get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Buy that and you'll be a winner, because you get 2,000 calories a day. Let's see. Enough to keep hunger away, that's for sure, and it's real food. Now this one up here, you can see the reddish leaves of that one. And we're about to go in and home in. Of course, that's your sweet gum leaves up here. You can zoom in. I wanted to do this earlier, but we've had a lot of rain, and I've had some video problems. I wanted to show you these leaves when they were prettier and more of them on the trees. But that's sweet gum. By comparison, I've done a video on sweet gum, how to make camouflage from sweet gum. This is my persimmon tree that I've done videos from. Okay, let's walk out here. Just so happens, this is my third take on this video. I don't know, maybe my fourth. I did it, and the SD card died that I had the video on, that one and several other videos. So I lost several videos because of the dead SD card. And I started to do it again, and my previous Canon camera died. It actually died on me. So that was a sad occasion. And so this is at least my third take on this. And those takes have all been delayed also by, we had a lot of wet weather. These various storms coming through here. And I had delayed doing it earlier. I've kind of talked about it because And look at this white oak leaves, aren't they pretty? Oh my goodness. This white oak is pretty, very pretty. Did a video on white oak. Oh my gosh, look at all the red in this white oak. Yeah, no, it's not a red oak. This tree is a white oak. Pretty wet leaves. All right. So, this is one right here. You see how this is a young one, a young sapling. And you can see how most of the leaves are gone. It's a pretty leaf. Yeah, I wanted to catch this earlier, a couple days ago. This had a lot more leaves on it when I did my first video out here. There's Granddaddy Longlegs. Now you can see how the limbs come up straight out, orthogonal, 90 degrees almost, just up and out. That's what they will do normally, not always, especially trees along the edge of the woods will deform quite a bit. Ah, Greg, what's the main thing you know about this tree? Well, it just so happens that I've learned that the Indians did this, I'm about to tell you, and it's known as being a custom of the Indians, but I always just thought it was my grandmother's custom. I only recently found out that the Indians did this. I got introduced to this tree when I was a kid by my grandma and my dad. Because my grandma would always ask my dad to cut these branches. To cut off a branch about like this. And cut a bunch of them for her. Why? Because this is also a toothpick tree. Now, if you didn't listen to this video this long, most people just bug out. You missed the main reason to watch this video. The main utility of this tree is making toothpicks because it's so hard to split. You cut off these branches, and you know, probably cut them off way down here, and then you skin the bark back, and you can take your knife and score it up some, and then you can chew it out, and it makes bristles, and you brush your teeth with them. This was the only thing my grandmother, who lived to be 96 and still had her teeth when she died, would brush her teeth with. It was that and snuff. The custom was also to use these to apply snuff. And back in the day, the Bruton snuff boxes on the cover said dental snuff. I always thought that was funny. But yeah, the old people would take the snuff and use that to brush their teeth with these kind of sticks. And apparently the native Indians did the same thing. Now, I'm not talking about the snuff that the ball players and good old boys are putting in their mouth and dipping today, because that stuff just ground up chin tobacco. I'm talking about the powdered stuff. The stuff, the real snuff is snuff you can put in your nose and snuff up your nose. That's where it got the name. I tried that once just to see what it was like. Woo-wee! Yeah, like I said, I tried it once. That was one thing I did not repeat. Yeah, that burnt. It was interesting. In the Chinese sense of the word. Yeah, so this is the proverbial toothbrush tree. There you go. Now you see. I might have to put that in a title to keep people on here long enough to see what I'm really talking about. All right, you know what? Just for a treat, we're going to back off and have a greater look at these trees right here. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click all. Because I'm do a lot of videos. I've done a lot of videos on wild edibles, medicinals. I will do some more, although I did double down on that this summer. I do videos about how to do bread prep for your gardens, how to plant in your gardens. Why? Because my videos talk about what you can do so you don't have to go to the store and buy stuff. And I'm going to do more videos on aquaponics, hopefully. I don't sub this place out. And I want you to see the beauty of the autumn here. People are always asking about solar. There's my solar. And I'll do a video again real soon about that when it starts to get really cold here. Maybe even later this week. That is my solar. Now, I'll do more videos on my garden. I just want to just get a quick look. Maybe it'd be better if I did a little bit earlier where the sun was still shining on these leaves, so I may want to do a garden video, come back. But these leaves can be really pretty out here. Alright, I'll have to do this again when the sun's actually shining on them. Just a little bit earlier one evening. Maybe tomorrow evening if it's not raining. Now, we got a lot of rain coming in here. I've been pulling a bunch of sled bed worm beds. That's what making all these furrows in the gravel here. And I didn't get much video of that. Maybe I'll get a little bit. I might pull a couple this evening. So I do a lot of videos about prepping. Mainly to let you know what's going on in the world. Because we're in an age, I think you have to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. The proposition of my channel is help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. Lord knows this year it's really coming at us. So many ways. This year has been a you-know-what burger and a half. Interesting extra set of tire marks back here. Here is my well. I just had it drilled. You saw my video. If you hadn't, go back and check why a well. I have a well. That's the wellhead. Hopefully I'll have a well house and pump on it, including a manual pump, very soon. Very soon. My garden really needs well water. And I need well water for other purposes. Now, I might, if I get a bus, I'll probably park it right in here somewhere. Not back in there, it's too wet. This probably be my bus location. If I get a bus. You might have saw the video I was doing where I was checking out these buses. Done a couple of those for the past few weeks. Alrighty. Enough of that. Maybe I can find an old video one day and show you some stuff about how I built the greenhouse and the barn. I wasn't doing a YouTube channel then. I wasn't all that great video, but I actually have a lot of video shot from that. I put together maybe that and some photos and narrate it. Maybe some winter might do some of that. I have the hopes of putting another greenhouse back in there, but I think next weekend is probably maybe too wet to get in there and do what I want to do. Most of this water here is from my well. Yeah, that's why I think it's so wet back here. That's what all came up when they were pumping it out. Let me walk back in here. I'll show where I'm planning to put another greenhouse. And I'm gonna redo this one in a year or two. I'm gonna redo the cover on it. I'm about to have to take that shade cloth off. I've got plans. I'll probably go metal pipe next time. Probably. And I'm planning to build a greenhouse back in here. This is actually part of my land that gets the most sun. I just don't know how much of it I might be able to get underground, Wallapini style. It is kind of wet back here. And yeah. Don't want to use all the glass I got. All that glass is meant to go in this wood hinge project, which is going to be my universal habitat now in some fashion. Another little greenhouse projects. And I got to get this cleared up back there. In the event, I am going to start pulling a couple more sled beds. I just thought I'd give you a real quick video on the black tupelo sour gum tree, because it is a good toothpick tree. That is the main thing. When you're out to survive, you don't want your teeth to rot out. I don't think I'd be using snuff, but that's a good way to make some bristles and brushes to brush your teeth. And that's a key thing to know. It's not just what you eat and drink. It's, you got to maintain your health. And that's one way to do it. And so I'm showing you more and more stuff like that. Yeah, but it is a wild edible. You can get a food from it. It's just, you have to be pretty hard up to eat that stuff. I think that time of the year, there's probably other choices, and that would probably be your last choice, unless you're a bird. Birds like that stuff. Oh yeah, I'm cleaning out here to put something. Yeehaw. I gotta get that little tractor running, that little Sears tractor. This one's running. Got a lot of lumber back there behind it. A lot of lumber here. I got lumber for projects. I'm into that. I got tin for projects, and windows for projects, and glass doors. I got a lot of raw materials to do some projects with. Just got to find the time. That and or the right help. That's always by far the hardest part. Alright everyone, I beat on it enough. I'm going to say now is, check out my links below to support my channel. If you also want to grow your own food, check out the links to my Patriot Supply. Check out my link to prepwithgreg.com, which takes you to my Patriot Supply. You get other prep supplies there too. And Tree Leaf Market for seeds. Anyway, thank y'all for watching.